group identity gives us a purpose, a sense of meaning, pleasure. It just scratches the itch that we all have for our existence. Like, we always want answers. And group identity is the path of least resistance because it's already established. Like, we join religions, we become part of sports teams, we become fans, obviously. We choose political parties. We choose a certain brand of vehicle, like Chevy versus Ford people, like Coke versus Pepsi, Apple versus Android. We're all about group identity. And this is an evolutionary thing. For most of our existence, we lived in small tribes of like 50 to 150 people at a time. And everybody acted the same, did the same things to conform to the needs of the group. And that would ensure survivability. So it is part of our DNA. It is part of our innate functionality to associate ourselves with groups. And groups have and share certain ways of thinking. And a lot of the groups that we associate with are based off of how we were raised and who we were raised by. This is evident by, geographically, people in the South being more Republican or conservative, and then people, and this is obviously generalizations, like this isn't everybody, but for the most part, for the most of the United States of America's existence, the South has always been more, Republican, conservative, and the North has always been more democratic and liberal. And people feel like they have to belong to a group. And I do think you do find safety, security, and a sense of well-being in a group because you are receiving approval when you are around people that agree with you and think like you. And that's a good feeling. It's a great feeling, like, especially, for example, like for me, I don't think like most people. I would say I don't agree with how 7 out of 10 people live. At least, the people that I've experienced in my life. But every once in a while, I do come across somebody that thinks similar to the way I do. And it's like an exhilarating moment when I realize that and I talk to them and my whole mood changes. I just feel excited. I'm so happy to talk to this person. Like, I'm fully concentrated on the words coming out of their mouth. And it's evident, like, physiologically, that I'm excited. And a lot of people, whether it's a religion or their sports team or their political party, feel the same way. I would say the biggest drawback, though, is it becomes sort of like an echo chamber where it's your current ideas are reinforced by the people around you because they have the same ideas, and any foreign ideas that contradict or challenge those beliefs and thoughts are the enemy. And humans that's how we operate, is you're either friend or foe, like thoughts are either with you or against you. There is no blended area. Like, there is no compromise. That's why it always seems that political parties can never agree. One's always right, one's always wrong, depending on which side of the aisle you stand. And that is like that for sports teams and every other type of group think and group identity. But the point of me saying all this is it's very interesting when you kind of remove yourself from any group and you kind of become like a independent thinking person that takes samples of every angle, and you don't really cling to one set of ideas or thoughts. Life becomes quite interesting and confusing at times because you're not set in stone. You're not, hardened concrete. Like, you're malleable. You constantly shift what you think and how you think and who you associate with. You're not clinging to any persona or political party or agenda. It's good and bad. Humans love predictability, and we love the path of least resistance, and surely being a free, independent thinker, whatever that means, is not the path of least resistance. Like, we like to travel through trails and paths that have already been created. It's hard and uncomfortable and takes a long time to pave our own path and to create new ways of thinking and living. And I think it's easy to belong to a group and to think like everybody around you, but it might not be the most fulfilling way. It might not scratch the itch that you have. Sometimes you got to think a little bit different and be a little different and do different things to figure out who you are and where you belong in this world. But that's actually an interesting statement, where you belong in the world. That's assuming that you do belong in the world. It's kind of an interesting way of thinking, but yes, you belong physically in the world, on the earth. That doesn't mean you have to associate with a certain group, despite your skin color, the region you were born, how you were raised, what you believe in. It's very interesting to become somebody that isn't reliant upon a group. Even the people that like, let's say, like, people that disregard society and religion and politics, they still try to create their own little group and identify. They want to put a label on it to identify as that. And, like, for example, like, there's religion, there's Christians and Muslims and all these people, and then there's people that, instead of just saying I don't believe in that stuff, they have to make a title and say they're atheists. It's because you create a new group, and now you can label yourself as something, and then you could find other people that are willing to label themselves as that, and next thing you know, you started a group, and you're in a group. And now, regardless of the religion or whatever it is, now it's like you started your own little group. So it's natural. It is how we work. We don't ever like to feel isolated, like mentally or physically. Like, isolation is not the way to go for human beings. Obviously, that's how we thrive. That's how we survive. Because unlike most animals, our body isn't meant to defend itself and to hunt. Like, we had to create tools and we had to operate in groups to be able to hunt and survive. So a lot of animals have claws, they have large teeth, they run very fast, they can climb trees to defend themselves, to hunt. We don't have any of that. We belong in a group, which is interesting to circle back. We do belong in a group. but that's for survival, and that is for hunting and eating. But these days we don't have to worry about surviving and hunting. Like, that is no longer a problem for humanity. So we don't have to cling to groups. The way I look at it is I definitely get involved in all sorts of groups, different religions, different political parties. I'm not tied down to any thought pattern. I like to take samples from every walk of life, from every region of the earth, and every ethnicity, race, denomination, like every religion. I like to hear all sides of the story and kind of form my own opinion and my own beliefs and my own individual path through life based off of all the information I receive, and not just one subsect of the earth, like not just one tiny little echo chamber of information, which can be very dangerous and become sort of like a cult without you knowing it until it's too late. Like, you'll be 50 years old and you realize, why did I always believe the things I believed? So it's like an existential crisis. Like, you question everything that you've ever thought and ever done. And I'm glad I'm experiencing this crisis, if you want to call it that, at such a young age. Like, I've been questioning everything since, I would say, after high school, from like 18 to now I'm 26. Like, I don't just accept all the information that I receive as the truth, no matter what biases I have, and no matter what the people around me think. I like to cross-examine the information and try to test it out for myself and see if it works for me, and if it doesn't, I don't use it. If it does, I will use it. But anyway, groupthink, group identity is not always a bad thing, but it definitely can be a bad thing if you are in an echo chamber that doesn't accept any new information or challenging information. I believe that the more you challenge your current information, either the stronger that current information will be held up, or it will get beat down and you'll have to acquire new information to advance, to sustain your life. So examining your current thought patterns, challenging them, and looking at both sides of every argument is healthy and will help you live a life you enjoy and actually entertain you a lot, because you spend a lot of time seeing every side of the coin, and it's actually quite enjoyable sometimes. And you kind of have like an existential crisis every couple months, because you come across new information and you're like, wait a second, what? So I guess that's good and bad. But hey, let me know what you think about this kind of stuff. I mean, this is obviously the stuff I like to talk about, but let me know what you think about this and your experiences with group identity. Maybe it's religion or some type of job or sports team or whatever group you've ever belonged to. Like, let me know what you think about that. Anyway, see you later.